Are you a Muslim woman who has recently decided to unveil? Or perhaps you come from another strict religious background and you've decided to branch outside of the societal norms. I know what went into your decision to do that. It wasn't just the judgment that you got in your every action every day with your husband, or the way that your mother-in-law and sister-in-law sneered when you finally nailed your biryani. It wasn't even the way that your boss overlooked you because he saw that you must have been overwhelmed with your personal life as you wore hijab, and he knows you have 3 kids at home. It wasn't even any of that. It was the who you weren't being true to in all of that that resulted in your decision. And, you know, we have labels for things. We can call it a lot of things. And one thing we have to own up to and take responsibility for is self-abuse. You may not think of it that way, right? It might be all their fault. But at the end of the day, who's talking in your head when they're not around? You're talking to you. You're building you. You're creating you with every single thought and thing that you choose to believe, and the societal nuances which you agree to in your actions. And you weren't being true to who you really are and what you really desire to create for yourself in this world. So I get it, you know? And here's the thing. It took me, I want to say, about 2 or 3 years to love myself enough to own up to the fact that I'm the only person that will ever love me the way I deserve to be loved as long as I'm married. And when I finally got to a place where I could operate in unconditional love, then I said, you know what? I'm going to create a way for me to leave all of this. And in doing that, everything I did was ultimately for the elevation of my soul. And I brought other souls with me. So I wrote my book. I started giving talks in local communities and sold those books, started coaching, started speaking, and all those things took a new level and iteration of self-nurturing is what I call it. My Replenish Me process is a system of self-nurturing. And through that self-nurturing, eventually I found my freedom, right? I started a business, I started a podcast, I kept researching, laboratory setting, like living my life and experimenting on my kids and my clients with these different practices. And little by little, I became an international best-selling author of 8 books, an internationally awarded and recognized podcast host of what is now called the Free to Be Show, and asked to be a host for the Ultimate Coach podcast, which is in the top 5% of podcasts that are listened to. And I also co-created Unlearning Labels podcast. So, and let's not forget that I'm now a trusted corporate advisor, not just an executive coach. So all of that is what I have gained through my choices, right? And the last choice was the unveiling physically. So I've unveiled, right, over the years through creating my coaching practice and business and speaking business and being an author. And now for the final unveiling, you know? And even that isn't the final unveiling, because, you know, people have gotten glimpses of who I really am, right? As the ultimate joy monger. And so they see these joyful pictures, but they don't even know the depths of the practice and the continuing iterations of that practice of self-nurturing that I am creating as you're watching me joy mongering, you know? And words have energy. So rather than to have us all suffer my story and relive, we can celebrate what is and what's coming and what I'm pulling in and what I'm magnetizing with my transformation and energy that I'm radiating in the world through my unveiling and my continued unveiling, to be the true me. And I invite you to begin that practice with me of joy and presence, so that you too can find the ways that only you can nurture you, so that your freedom emerges. So this is all for the elevation of our souls. I would love to hear your story. Do feel free to reach out to me at bit.ly/joy2connect. Bye for now.